my class is online. I have classes online so you don't have to travel. And I do spiritual direction online. And I do this especially because I can't be a personal spiritual director to everybody. I can't. As much as I would love to do that full time, it's not realistic for my life at all. But what I did do was put together spiritual direction courses. And they're not how to be a spiritual director, but rather I am one, and how I would take you through. And I set it up so that I'm talking to you as though you were in my class, as if you were in my office, and how I would speak to you. It's really a progression that starts with a course called Pebbles at the Well. And because it's been my experience that when you start, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this in a second, that when you turn your attention to a serious spiritual commitment, and you decide, I don't want to just talk about spirituality, I need a spiritual devotion. I need something deeper. You really have to begin by asking yourself, what do I actually believe? What do I actually believe? What do I believe and what don't I believe? You have to start with the basics in yourself. With the very basics. What do I believe and what don't I believe? To start there, down at the ground level. With, and how many of you actually know what you believe? How many of you actually know the core of your beliefs, down to what do I actually believe that governs your life, that governs your holiness, your inner being, that actually governs your soul? What do you actually deeply believe? I know you can tell me what you don't believe. No one has a problem with that. But what you don't believe will not get you out of hell. It will never get you out of hell. It will never help you. What you do not believe will never, ever help you. And when someone tells me what they don't believe, they do it with such a ferociousness and such an anger. I don't believe this. It will never help you. And the reason why people don't believe what they don't believe is usually so shallow. It's usually so shallow. Look at what those priests did. Look at this, look at this. So what? What has that got to do with what about the crimes every other human being has committed? Human beings commit crimes. We are a criminal species. That's what we do. We're predators, we're criminals, we're greedy, we're sexual criminals, we're financial criminals. This is who we are. And this is what we do. And one of the reasons why it is essential for us to understand the intimacy of our nature is because every one of us has that darkness in us. Every one of us. Every single one of us. We are all predators. Every one of us has what it takes to do tremendous harm to another human being. Don't kid yourself. Your choice of weapons may be words, maybe emotion. Maybe you play games with somebody. I'll love you if. Maybe you stop talking to someone and punish them by a cold shoulder, turning love on and off like a faucet. Maybe you do it that way. Maybe you torment them that way. Maybe you're somebody who thinks that you have the right to pass on your suffering to somebody. That you get to come home and pass on suffering. Nina, you want to sit up here?
It's been here.
All right.
Somebody has taken my seats.
Okay. Okay, what was that?
I know somebody has taken my seats.
Oh, God, right. That you have a right to come in and pass on your suffering to someone who's never even harmed you, but you've decided they're responsible to absorb your suffering. And when you come back from a day at work, you get to lose your temper, scream and yell, all of this, and then say, you don't understand, I've had a bad day at work, I did this, and you get to bite their head off. And the next thing you know, they're apologizing to you for complaining, for you beating them. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you had a bad day. Here, kick me again. Here, kick me again, I'm sorry. No, you don't have the right to do. But that's the side of you. That's the side of us that is no different than any other dark side. This is the darkness that exists in the human being. And it just depends on which way it goes in everybody. So, when someone is so clear about why they don't believe something, my end of the question with that is, and what's your point? Not believing in something will never heal you. It will never make you feel better. It will never get you out of hell. It will never do anything for you. It's your capacity. What it will do is it will make your relationships dysfunctional. All of them. Every single one of them. Because what you're saying is, I do not have the capacity to have faith, period. Not in a person, not in a place, not in a thing. My faith meter is broken. So I constantly say to people, will you really love me? Will you really love me? Will you really be there? Will you really, will you? I keep have to be reinforced. I don't trust anyone. I don't trust anything. I look like I trust. I tell them I do, but I don't. I'm an endless black hole of insecurity. Endless black hole. I don't believe a thing. I don't trust a thing. My level's like down to here. If the phone call isn't within 24 hours, I'm like, what does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? Have no capacity to stand in my stillness and be okay. None. I need constant reinforcement. Constant. Because I'm so empty. Because I have no faith. I have no faith. I have no trust. I have nothing. Now, any of you relate to that? One person. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hands up. Some of you don't relate to it at all? Put your hands up that you don't relate to it at all. Okay. And the rest of you? Okay, so you have some sense. And the rest of you have complete faith. You're okay. You're good. Okay. No. There's no such thing as like this. Either the faith meter is on or it's not. Okay, it's on. It's on. Okay. All right. Now, I have a couple of questions that I really do want to ask you to kind of deal with as I wrap up this morning. Then I want to go into holy listening. What it means to do holy listening. Then stages and prayer. Ooh. Because I need to wrap up these, ask you a couple of about words. One more to bring the ship down when it comes to words, to emphasize how important this is. Okay, the last exercise on words. Now, to emphasize how much when someone says you create your own reality, it's words that you use to do that. Words. Now, people make assumptions. We all make assumptions, and we make very interesting assumptions. And one of the assumptions we make quite erroneously is that other people know the meaning and significance of words in our head. Like, you should know that word upsets me. You should know. You should know. What should people know? What should people automatically know about you? What do you think people should automatically know? You have to understand this. People don't automatically know you. They don't automatically know the stuff in you or what your hot buttons are. Nobody automatically knows that. So when you come up to someone later and say, you hurt my feelings, you stepped on a hot button, how would they even know what those are? You don't have Post-it notes on you. Hot button, this is my hot button. So I want you to write down 3 words that you have decided people are not allowed to say to you, and you only inform them later, after they've said things that they have insulted or hurt you. So this is how well you have to know yourself. And by the way, the other thing I want you to do is rate yourself. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being extreme, 1 being not. And I don't want you to go gently here. What would other people say about you if I asked them if you were hypersensitive, overly sensitive? Would they say, would they rate you a 10? Or would they rate you a 1? Are you overly sensitive? Are you someone who would snap and say, I think that's politically incorrect? Da, 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 da. Are you one of those? Will you take everything seriously? Will you take everything personally? That's number 10. Or are you in the middle? Or are you one of those people who, in the language of Buddha, you don't get attached to spectacles. You just don't. But are you someone who does get attached? I take that personally. I take this. You can't say that to me. Just, what would other people say? I know, I look at people in my life and I'll say, this person, you got to be kind of careful how you talk to her. Got to watch it. You got to watch it. She's kind of like volcano-ish. I would describe her as eruptible. Eruptible. And this one, hypersensitive. She takes everything personally. And those are the people I tend not to see very often. I don't deal with those kinds of natures. I'm past that in my life. I'm past that. I just won't tolerate that. I tolerated it in my 40s. I won't tolerate it now. You want to take everything personal, you're on your own. So, put it down. Isn't this a fun exercise? Okay, now I want you to write down 3 words that convey your inner power. Your inner power, that project. Like 3 words that describe your inner power. How do you feel you want to come across? That you feel you are. That describe your inner nature, your power. You know, how, no, I'm not interested in how you like to. Like is a theory. Like doesn't mean anything. It's how you are now. How like I would like to think someone that I could say that I'm authentic. And that I am what I am. Okay, and I'm not shy. No, I mean, like I'm authentic to me. I couldn't be more if I, and I'm congruent. I walk my talk. And I have friends here that I think that would validate that. Pretty much? Yep. So that's, I don't want to be, I am that. Yeah. By the way, I haven't always been. Let me be very clear. Let me be very clear. And what is the word you're giving up? That you've decided, I'm not going to use this. I'm going to extricate this word from my vocabulary. It gets me in trouble and it doesn't serve me. When I use it, the temperature in me goes down. It is destructive. When I pull this word out, it doesn't serve me. Every time I use it, I have a motivation and agenda. And the agenda is not good. Think about that. You need a word that you really are going to highlight and you can't use it. You are really going to hold yourself to you can't, every time you think about that, you have to dismiss it from constructing a thought around it, from utilizing, from saying it, from putting it in your vocabulary, from describing yourself that way, from in any way animating that word. It's a big one now. Why on earth would you do anything about other people? Why?
Sorry?
Why would you do anything about other people? Of course it's about you. Why on earth would you do anything about other people? This is about you. You. The word is about some word in you. You. What's a word in you that when you pull it out, lowers your temperature? Victim. Self-pity works. Something like that. Entitled. Any of those are options. Those are options. You might walk through the vocabulary and you could say, no, I still need this one for a while. I'm going to keep this. I'm not ready to give this one up. I still get mileage out of it. But if you do that, you have to look at yourself and say, what is with me that I use this word so much? And now you know how much power a word has. You look at this word and think, this is a high valuable word, entitled. I pull this little charge card out all the time. This gets me a lot. Now, if this word was not in my vocabulary, how would my life change? If I didn't see myself as entitled, how would your life change? You would have to become more, what? Clever? More self-sufficient? More what? What would you have to become if you weren't entitled? You have to think about that if you took that word out. Fascinating, eh? The words that you would have to use if you took that word out. It's fascinating. Okay. Now, do you all have the words you're taking out?
Yes.
What are you taking out?
Maybe perhaps.
Say?
Perhaps.
Perhaps. Good, well done, you. 2 gold stars. Okay, what else have I got? Yes. Should. Should, excellent. Ending procrastination, are we? Oh, well done. What? Can't. If I go home saying can't, I'll be sent out. Where have you been? where have you been? Okay. Cannot. Yeah, I could say, I can't get up this morning, right? Okay. Sorry?
Everybody here says that.
I love it. Everybody here says that.
Every single one of you. Honest to goodness, I've heard that a million times over the last couple of days. Sorry.
I have to apprentice with that accent. I want that accent.
Sorry.
I want that accent. I want that accent.
You can buy it.
I'm not going home without that accent.
It costs a lot, Carol.
It costs a lot, Carol.
Let me come live with you, and then I'll give it to you.
Okay, live with you then. Okay. I'm telling you right now, I can mimic accents. That's good. Okay, got it. And want. Oh, well done, you. Well done. Watch where you use that. Watch it. That is a torment. It's a torment. Well done. What else have I got? Wait. What on this side? Failed.
Just fail, not fail.
Fail. Oh, good. Well done. What else? Huh? Hopeless. It's all hopeless. And what are you going to substitute? No, one. Hope. Difficult. What are you going to substitute? Effortless. Yes. Claire? Impossible. Substitute?
Miracle. What can I do to change it?
That's a sentence. Question. You don't get a question. You get a word. Get a word. Now, I'm going to give you a technique, everyone. And I've used this all my life. I have actually done this all my life. I've been in love with words since the time I could read. And even to this day, I have a dictionary on my nightstand. I love words. And so I'm going to suggest that you read the dictionary. That you actually read the dictionary. That you swallow a new word at least once a week. That you fatten up your vocabulary. That you put in new words. And you keep a chart of new words. That you enhance your vocabulary. That when you have something that's on your mind, or you have to work through an issue with someone or with yourself, that you write it out and then find different words that you've never used before. You've never used before. And just say, this isn't working with these words. I have to try it in different words. And it's not unlike putting on an outfit and saying, this, I need different shoes. And suddenly with different shoes, the outfit looks fabulous. It's no different than languaging something you are in and you have the wrong vocabulary. You simply have the wrong vocabulary. This is how powerful words are. This is how powerful. And you haven't understood the power of a word. And if you see something and you think, why am I calling this a problem? Why am I doing that? What if I decided to call it a portal? I'm going to call it a portal. I'm going through something. It's a magic door. It's a portal. All right, it's a portal. That changes it, which means I've got clues everywhere. And you may think that you're playing games, but life is a matter of what you how you frame everything. How you frame everything. That when someone asked me earlier, what is the purpose of life? It is the choices that we make. In the first, if I change this into a lecture on Buddhism, these are the levels. Buddhism does not have a hell the way Christianity does. Thank you. But it does have levels. And the first level is what Buddha would call hell. The first level of hell. The first level is hell. And what hell is in Buddhism is the perception that you have no power, that you are absolutely powerless, that life has put you in a circumstance where you are completely without power. So, for example, you are arrested and you are put into some horrible, horrible place. You can't make a phone call. Think of the most god-awful circumstance. Maybe you're, arrested in North Korea or some horrible, horrible place, and you are absolutely without. You're in a concentration camp. Your head's shaved. Numbers are on your arm. Even your identity's been taken away. You've been reduced to a tattoo on an arm. I mean, there is no other kind of, what other kind of hell? Even there, Buddha would say, still, you have choice. Still, like Elie Wiesel wrote, like these authors wrote, still, I had choice. I had choice as to how I would interpret. This was the most difficult choice ever, but I had choice. No, you will not have my soul. Take my clothes, take my hair, take my name, give me a number. But this you will not get. You cannot command how I will see you. One of the most profound things I read was this book called Who Will Write Our Story? By this Jewish historian. So extraordinary. And in it, he became a historian in 16, either 1906 or 1916, something but like that. But in Warsaw, and he became a historian. He wanted to be a physician, but they were limiting the number of Jews that could go to medical school, so he became a historian. He specialized in the history of Jews because he realized, having studied history, the history of Eastern Europe, that all the historic histories were written by Christians who did not include the history of Jews and all their contributions to Europe, so he became that. In this, he then started the first archive of Jewish history ever in Europe. And he began to collect all the stories of all the Jews, where they came from, all their rich, rich, rich histories, and he became known for this and incredibly respected. And the archive existed in Warsaw, which at that time was like the New Jerusalem. And there were 700,000 Jews, and there were the Kabbalists, and there were the archivists, and there were the tailors, and the physicians, and the scientists, and the merchants, and the lawyers, and all of this, the bankers, all of them, this rich, incredible Sephardic Jews, and then the politics of Russia were rising, where they were saying, you're equal to all of us. We're not a religious country anymore, so come this. So there was a political faction. It must have been incredible back then. And then, of course, 1939, September, and the Nazis come in. And within short order, the Warsaw Ghetto. And Dr. Rosenblum took his archive and brought it into the Warsaw Ghetto with the help of 5 men. And by now it was famous. And all of them promised to keep this secret, that all of these precious, precious historic documents were with him. And he continued to collect the stories as he eventually realized they're going to kill us all. They're going to kill us all. Then he knew that he was archiving their stories because the unthinkable was actually happening. The unthinkable was actually happening. One of the stories he collected was this man that wrote these Nazis think we are so stupid. They think we are so foolish as to believe them when they tell us, get on this train, there's food on there, we have milk and bread for you. They think we're so foolish when they see us march onto this train and we don't put up a fight. We know what they're doing. But we have decided to go on that train to give them another chance to be human beings. We have chosen to give them a chance to rekindle their humanity. Now, that is the soul. That look which one is in hell. The one that is obviously going to end up dying in the concentration camp. Or the one who pulls the bullet in the camp. Or the one who says, I'm going to give you a chance, one more chance, to be a human being. And it may cost me my body, but this is costing you your soul. Now, which one? You see? So, at every level, choice in everything. You cannot ever, ever tell yourself that you are ever in a position where you do not have choice. You cannot tell yourself that lie. Do not lie to yourself. You may say to yourself, I don't like the choices that I have. That is for sure. We will find ourselves in that situation again and again and again. I don't like the choices that await me. I don't like them. And that's when you bow your head and you say, you better help me out here because you've put me in a hell of a bad place. But don't ever tell yourself you don't have choice. Yeah.
This is a question that I've been pondering for many, many years because I worked with children and I worked with very severely abused children and children who've been involved in organised celebration of evil.
The what?
Satanic ritual.
Oh. Right.
And these were very small children who were actually forced to do things which involved, Where does choice come in the mind of a small child who is being forced to celebrate evil through creating harm for someone else?
Yeah. Okay.
And what's the, the aftermath of that and looking at authenticity in the face of that is for me an issue because...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to give you the answer from a mystical point of view. So that means that we have to go up here. And I'm not sure this is going to be easy for you, but these are the only kinds of answers that I can provide that actually address what you've just asked. Because what you've asked is the same type of answer that belongs in this, which is, I want a logical, clear answer to something that's not logical. Secondly, what you've asked is, I'm looking at demonology. You are looking at the demonic. The demonic is real. And you are asking me for a logical question to a demonic ritual. So you have to realize do you realize that's what you've asked me? I'm not done. So that's what you've just asked me. So from that point of view, you are now dealing with mystical forces. So you cannot have a logical answer to a mystical question. Are you aware of that?
That's why I'm grappling.
Well, you wouldn't be grappling if you said, this is a demonic situation. There's nothing to grapple with.
Okay.
I have to go to the mystical level. Now, what would be a way to mystically position this? Okay? Now I'm going to help you out here, because now I'll scaffold it for you. You don't grapple if you understand the grounds to put it on. You grapple when you're looking for reason in a place where you will not find it.
Okay.
That's what makes you grapple. You don't go there. You don't go there.
Okay.
You don't belong there.
Okay.
From a mystical point of view, from an energetic point of view, what we do in your energy field, in all of our energy fields, we spark off, energy generates matter, correct? Are we in agreement? It's a law. Every one of your thoughts generates matter. Are we in agreement? What about all your negative thoughts? Okay? And where does all the sparks that generate your negative thoughts go? Where do they go? They're like collective psychic free radicals. And they go into the collective human body. Now, think of those. Did you ever play a game with all those little bitty things that collect around a magnet? The little bitty shavings, and then they collect around a big magnet. Did you ever see that? Like an Etch-a-Sketch or whatever it was called? Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. Think of those little things as psychic free radicals, and then you have a big magnet, and it collects all those things. And it needs to collect all those psychic free radicals that and eventually it becomes big enough to form an event, to become something, to form a big enough force, like a tornado, to actually become a thought form, an inspiration, an archetypal force that it can incarnate into the collective as an issue, as a wave of something, as a wave of evil, as a wave of darkness, for example, as a collective fear, as a collective fear that something, we have to find an enemy, we have to find an other. There has to be someone to punish. One of the collective fears of humanity is that one way to stop progress, one way to stop change is to sacrifice something or someone. That's woven into our archetypal veins.
Okay.
And one way that's a darkness in us. We decide we have to sacrifice or we have to kill a group of people. This is why so in my country, it gave rise to Donald Trump. This is part of what the country believed, is that if we could stop, we have to find a way to stop progress, to stop moving forward. And out of this dung heap came this man who said, I will stop everything from going. Could have been anybody. It happened to be him. So it's not, you have to understand, I'm not talking about him. I am talking about some force would have gotten.
Yeah.
Some force would have gotten, because this was the atmosphere that was created. In that same way, we create an atmosphere that's ripe for violence. Because we are feeling violent. Because we are feeling the ground shake beneath our feet. And we are collectively feeling the ground shake beneath our feet. And that brings out in the tribe a taste for barbarianism.
And blood.
It brings out the barbarian in us. It brings out the barbaric rituals. So it's not even, it makes us ripe for evil. And another thing that's made us ripe for evil is that we've shut down the language of the soul. We've decided evil doesn't exist. We have taken the words out of our vocabulary, so we can't even spot it. We've decided we're too bright, we're too sophisticated, we're too intellectual for that force. We've decided there's just goodness.
Yeah.
There's just the way I want it. There's not evil. There's just angels, because that's the way I want it. We've decided we could rewrite the whole schemata of the cosmos, because that's how I want it. Not the way it's always been, but the way I want it, because I'm a high-tech computer person who is a vegetarian who likes things a certain way. And I'm rewriting the book of creation to suit me. And there is no evil. Oh, really? Take a look at this wonderful world. There is no evil in this world. Really? And then you say, how do these things happen? Because there is evil. And that's what it does. And evil counts on people not believing in it.
Right.
And it counts on people's arrogance. And even Hitler knew the bigger the evil, the easier it is. Because everybody will say, don't be ridiculous.
Yeah.
That can't happen. Don't be ridiculous. Absolutely not. It's not possible. There's no such thing as evil. Absolutely not. We're just so wonderful. We don't look at this. That's how it happens. Because we forget this is us. This is us. That is what we're capable of. And if we actually recognize, look, we're capable of this, and we do it in our own ways, in the ways that we judge, in the ways that we bite, in the ways that we keep our heart closed, in the ways that we refuse to acknowledge, and I'm a little selfish here, look at those starving people, we'll let them starve over there. I walk down the street in my own town, homeless people on my street. Person next to me says, why don't they get a job? Why don't they get a job? And I said, do you think they want to be that way? Do you think they want to be that way? I'm part of a homeless shelter that I've been part of for years now. Years. And when I started, the money that I would get from doing a benefit would be enough to put food on the shelves for 2 months. Now I make maybe $70,000 when I do a benefit. And every cent goes to buy food. I won't pay for one electrical, I won't buy one light bulb. It's all food. Now it pays for 1 day. 1 day worth of food. 1 day. That's what life's like in America now. 1 day. And it's because people won't admit that's how bad it's getting. Because you can't look at life, okay? It starts with, we have to admit this is what's possible. And it won't baffle you at all. That's number one. Stop thinking that children are somehow or other protected from the dark side. This is some kind of, get that out of your head. They're not. This idea that children shouldn't die because they're children, stop it. These stories we tell ourselves only, stop. Stop, stop, stop. I sound like I'm such a tough, I'm just realistic about the way it is, people. It's like I don't like the stories anymore. I'm just hardcore realistic about the way it is. And that's the way, and that there is a God that works with the way it is. And that people are disappointed so often in heaven because they're worshiping a God that doesn't work the way their prayers do. Are you with me here? Yeah.
How do you still
How do you have hope left?
In the face of that evil you see. What?
How do I have hope left? Isn't it the craziest thing? But I am so full of hope. I'll tell you why. Because one candle in a dark room is brighter than the darkness. One candle in the dark room is brighter than all the darkness. And you are one candle in a dark room. And it is impossible for me to communicate the difference it makes if that light goes on in you. And how much it matters that you stop looking externally for proof that your life matters. That you stop measuring it in how much you make, or if people see you, or if you're acknowledged by other people, but you start measuring the significance of your life by really loving your own life, by understanding, by actually just recognizing, honestly, the power of one word. And I know that sounds like a crazy Buddhist meditation, but if you thought, I am actually going to just dwell on the power I have with one word. And if that word is so powerful, and if I'm so afraid to say that word to someone, here's one: sorry. Sorry. Some people spend their life choking on that word, choking. They'd rather gargle crushed glass than say that to someone. Sorry. If one word is so powerful, then you have to sit back and say, I must be a very powerful thing. I must be a very powerful being. I need to get I need to know, I need to do something with this. I need to do something with this. I need to become something with this. I cannot afford to put my power in anybody's hands but my own. So I need to start there. I cannot afford to wait until you like me before I rev up my engine. You cannot afford to wait until I like you to rev up your engine. My role is to beg you to rev up your engine. Okay? My role, hopefully, is to get you to get that you are so powerful. Because if you get that and you decide this world has to change, there has to be more light. You're a light bulb. The more of your light bulbs that go on, the more we are the counter to that. Everything you do matters. Every word you say matters. Every thought you have matters. Everything, everything. What you have to get is that's the truth. And that is the truth. That's why I have so much hope, because I know how powerful you are. I know it. I wouldn't exhaust myself teaching, and believe me, I'm giving you everything. I wouldn't exhaust myself if I didn't believe that. That to me is hope. It's not about you guys saying, all right, all you guys, I want you to invest your money in this land, build this school. You don't need any of that. You don't need any of that. You simply need to actually, don't put your energy in your sad self, in your wounds. For God's sake, I don't want to hear any more of that stuff. Put your energy in your potential and what is so powerful about you. I didn't hear anyone say the word wound. You didn't give up the word wound. You didn't give up the word pity. Did you?
Self-pity.
Well, self-pity, bless your soul. Who?
I gave up.
Smallness? And you're the tallest woman in the room. Okay. This is why I'm so filled with hope.
Also, victim is being wounded in all kinds, isn't it? If you take the word victim,
Yeah.
that's being wounded.
Oh, did you take the word victim?
Yes.
Oh, good on you. Good on you. Now you can't, and no wonder you asked about hopelessness. So suited. I knew you'd get the victim in there somewhere. Just your last go at it, huh? Attaboy, go down with a big punch. Somebody had a question somewhere. Yes, right, and I'll be right there. Yes. Wait. Go.
Thank you. I didn't realize until now the significance of something I did a number of years ago, which was I had to get out of the job I was in. It was making me ill. I'd had a number of bereavements, all kinds of stuff, and I just felt incredibly stuck. And I was reading your stuff and other stuff, and there was just too much to take in. So I just thought, I'm just going to pick one word. I'm just going to pick one word and do it. And it was authentic. And honestly, I mean, I've never thought of it until now. It led me out and into something that brings me such immense joy. I mean, it just feels magical, and I've just remembered that because of what you're saying. And I just, guess, wanted to share the power of, you know, of that one word that I picked. Thank God, it you know, it did it.
Imagine if you introduced a word like God in a real reverent way and decide, I'm only going to use your word in a prayer now. I'm never going to say God or all the other ways, or if you actually did introduce the word sin. Introduce, and realize that I'm going to use that word as a guide and say, if I ever make choices that knowingly harm another person, and I'm aware of it, I'm aware that what I'm going to say could knowingly harm this person, now am I going to say it? And it becomes your signpost. This is gossip. This is garbage. This is gossip. This is malicious. This is simply a lie. It's not true. And you had that word there, and everything you say has to go through that word. Has to go through that word as a filter. Now, when you say something, if you know another human being is going to pay a price for what you've just said or done, and it's conscious, they have to pick up the pieces of something you've done or said, and it's okay with you, you're going to let them do that. Then you have to just call it what it is. It's not just a bummer. And you can never again say, I never meant it. Yes, you did. It's exactly what you meant. That's damn right you meant it. You meant it because you could have chosen otherwise and you knew it. And one of the reasons people don't forgive, the main reason they do not forgive, is because in that little moment, in that tiny little micro-mystical second, it's a micro-mystical second. And those are the ones that are big. You can get inside a micro-mystical second, you fit in it. And all you're hearing is audible. It's like, whoa, there's a lot of room in this second. Because in that second, you hear, you see, you feel the presence of a presence. Because they want you to remember that second. Because in that second, you become heightenedly aware that this is a conscious choice. Oh, yes, it is. And because it's so conscious and because it's so significant, you've got an angel standing next to you saying, do you want to do this? Are you sure? Are you sure? So they even have a pause button there. They've sent in a crew. Are you sure? Because there's no going back from this. This is something that gets put on your record. This is not a boo-boo. This won't be undone with an apology. This is a soul wound. Are you sure you want to do this? Won't be cleaned up with an apology. You're not breaking a piece of china here. Then if you step forward, because if you wound someone and that wound redirects the course of their soul, it is called a sin. That's a sin when you do it knowingly. Like when you say, I don't care, I know. In fact, I want Nina to pay the price for this. I'm so angry at her. I want her. I'm going to smash all this and I'm going to tell everybody Nina did it. And then no one will like Nina. And that suits me fine. Because I want her sweater. But however it is, but human beings think in a very catastrophic, contaminated way when you're out of your mind. And you literally are out of your mind. And you're in some dark place. Why do we pray? We pray not to go to that dark place. God, keep me out of my own dark place. Get me out of there. Don't let me go there. This is how you pray. God, keep me out of there. Don't let me go to my own dark place because I can be mighty dark and it's bad and I don't like myself there. Keep me out of there. Don't let me go there. Come on, don't let me go there. Get me out, take me back. Don't let me go there. Don't let me go there. Don't let me harm anybody when I get so angry. Don't. Make me tired, put me to sleep. Let the angels take me out of my body and talk to me. And then bring me back before sunrise. But do not let me harm another human being. That's how you pray. You can have your anger, but vomit in a cloud. Vomit, but not on a human being. You see what I'm saying? Because if you came to a human being and you say to them, I'm really sorry about what I just did. You know for a fact that when you can't forgive somebody, it's not for what they did. It's really not. If you get into the wound, step into the wound right now. Step into something you've had difficulty forgiving, even yourself. Step into that. And when they've come up to you and said, I'm really sorry, it's really not, and why haven't you been able to accept an apology? You may say to them, yeah, okay. But it's not enough. And why isn't it enough? It's not just because you've got a twinge of vengeance, which you do. A little paprika vengeance in that stew. It's because you know it was conscious, and they're not owning that. It's the lie that when they say, I never meant to hurt you. It's the lie of them saying, I knew I was going to hurt you, and you know what? It didn't stop me. That's what you want to hear. And that's what they want to hear from you. Is that it was conscious, I knew I was doing it, and you didn't matter enough to me to make me stop. You just didn't matter enough. And I went through with it anyway. That's what you want to hear. And then followed by, and you know what? It was a sin. I sinned against you. My soul harmed yours. This wasn't a boo-boo. This wasn't a bummer. I have sinned. This went to soul, and I am sorry. That is what is missing in our way of communicating. We do not speak soul to each other, and we need to. And that's why we don't heal, and that's one of the reasons for such deep grief. And it's one of the reasons why we are constantly in therapy and we constantly rehash our problems and our pain, because we can't quite get to what? The soul. We can't quite say, oh my God, there's the word I need. It's a sin. That's what this was. I committed, or it was committed against me. That's what it is. Now I'm in my soul. Jesus, there's the wound. It's not in my head. It's not in my heart. It's in my, there it is. Got it. Got it. This is in my soul. No wonder it hurts so deep. That's where it is. You've ruined my immortality, not my mortality. You hurt that deep. And there's only one way out. And it's, I need to confess that. I mean, this, you got to own this one. And apologies do not heal sins. That's why God made confession. That's why it's called a sacrament. No matter what tradition, it is called, there's only a handful of rituals in humanity that are actually called sacred. There's only a handful of ones in which we actually say, come witness this, come, I need a witness. When a child is born, come witness us accepting the soul and the body of this. We'll take care of this soul and this body. And we pour water, we pour salt. We've got it, it arrived. Bar mitzvah, communion, the rituals of growth, of maturation, marriage. I want to witness that my soul is merging with this soul. I want to witness. You want a marriage in front of a sacred, a person ordained. Regardless of tradition, they're ordained to conduct grace so that you call celestial witnesses because two souls have decided we will now walk together. That's some judge in a civil court. Get out. But an ordained who has the power to pool celestial witness. Extreme unction, the last rites. You cannot leave the planet without, even when I was in Alaska, they have the potlatch. When the Native American, when the Inuit call their people together and they say, I'm ready to go. I have to give away my belongings. I cannot leave any of my soul behind. I cannot leave anything behind. You take the rest of my songs, you sing my songs, you finish my blanket, you finish my weaving. I must take my whole soul with me. Everybody finishes their soul, so they go with whole. It's about the soul. This is what we've decided. Look at how much in our society is decided. We don't need that. Why? Have you suddenly decided your soul needs nothing? Have you just decided your soul needs nothing? But in the meantime, our need for drugs has gone this time. Our rise in depression has gone this way. Our rise in anxiety has gone this way. Our rise in madness has gone this way. While our contact with the soul has gone this way. Now you could call that an interesting coincidence. I say, yes. Madame Lucretia.
So I just wanted to ask you, so if you've experienced adultery in a marriage, that's the marriage is ended as a result of, but that the other person won't admit to it or concede it, let alone apologise, what do you do with that?
Well, this isn't Jerry Springer. I really am not here to solve personal problems, love.
No, I don't mean it that way. I just mean what you're talking about as a sin at the level. You know, how is there anything advice about you?
What would I do if someone committed adultery?
No. It's just about that forgiveness that.
Dearie. Well, nobody would, but who would be so foolish? But what?
Oh, sorry. Shall I try and explain it again?
Yeah.
Okay, apologies. In terms of, we're talking about sin and the wound that you may experience, wound's probably not a good word, sorry, I'll take that one back. If a marriage ends because of adultery, that other person, goes off with somebody else, but doesn't apologise to you, let alone recognise that as a sin, how that feels to how you're left with that. And it's quite a difficult thing to forgive in the absence of anything.
Right. Okay. You know, it's when you know that you've been sinned against, but the other person will never acknowledge it. And that, yes?
I just wanted to ask if you consider that as a form of sort of gaslighting. Do you know that word, gaslighting?
I don't know what the word you just used, but it's great, a new word, but do you know that word?
No.
What does it mean?
It means, gaslighting is when...
Gaslighting?
Gaslighting, because what you're talking about when you're saying that an apology isn't enough, and that if you've made a soul sin, then you need to apologise on that level.
Acknowledge. You need to have an
acknowledge
acknowledgement.
at that level.
I think the word I would prefer is a acknowledgement of a wound at that level. Yes.
But gaslighting is from an old film where a guy drove this woman crazy by turning down the gas lights and then saying he didn't. And I think there's in a broader sense, that apology, that sort of minimising of apology or not apologising for sin is a form of that kind of madness-inducing situation where, you know, if somebody's saying, oh, you don't deserve an apology because I haven't done anything wrong, really, that's a form of gaslighting. Do you understand? It's quite a difficult concept. I'm not explaining it probably very well.
But I want to understand, because I think you're saying something so important, so it's urgent for me to understand this.
Okay.
So you must make me understand this.
Right, I'll try and... I'm nervous now.
So take a breath, and you must make me understand this, because what you're saying is very important, and I can sense that. So you must get this through my head.
Okay. So the term gaslighting is from...
It's a movie.
It's from a film called Gaslight, I think. And this guy drives his... He
deliberately wants to drive someone crazy.
Yeah. So what he does is he turns all the gas lights down in the house, and when she says, oh, it's awfully dark in here, he says, no, dear, it's you're going crazy. Oh. And he deliberately, he does it over a long period of time. Okay. And this is a typical sort of abuser's technique.
It's the denial of someone else's reality.
Oh.
It's a denial of someone else's reality.
Thank you.
And you can make somebody schizophrenic doing that.
Right, yes you can. Yes you can.
Yeah, and to me, like that term is quite useful when you're talking about things like that, because...
Is that an actual term people use now?
Yeah.
Gaslighting?
Yeah.
Where have I been? A new word!
Exactly. It's my gift to you. It's a gift to you.
Thank you. I'll remember you forever because of this.
Oh, wow.
You're my new word package. Okay, so...
So I think what you're talking about, this lack of apology on the soul level, and it's this sort of underhanded, like, oh yeah, I'm really sorry for doing that, is a form of gaslighting. Do you see what I'm saying?
It could be. It could be. All right, let me also, you're right, let me say, it's no different, in a sense. What would be the difference between, for you, when you feel someone owes you an apology, just an apology, and they say, I've done nothing wrong?
Because that's a battle of someone's reality. You're battling against, it's a battle of perceptions.
Well?
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And what's the difference? Now,
if there's an imbalance of power, though, if it's a parent who's been abusing a child,
right.
and the parent says,
right.
I don't owe you an apology because that abuse never happened, that's gaslighting.
But it's, what's the difference? Right, gaslighting, you have to bear with me because this is brand new for me from this. But can gaslighting apply equally to what I'm saying about sin as to something that's just like not just, but I mean, but to something that would be wrong and right?
Yeah.
In your language, you call it a sin to gaslight, is to deliberately hurt someone.
Right. Oh, okay.
Deliberately alter someone's perception of reality by saying...
Using the collective. It's a social media crime. Gaslight is where many
We're still on adultery here. Let's, wait, I'm still trying to work this. Wait, so we've gone down the chute and I haven't addressed this.
Oh, yeah, you carry on.
But we're not done here. I really want to get back here. Get myself back, back to adultery. But it leads to this, which is when another person doesn't acknowledge whether it's a wrongdoing or whether it's, let's say, that when you realize this was a sin, you deliberately did that. You deliberately broke our marriage vows. You deliberately did that. And what's worse is the clever ones blame you for it. You know, the clever ones blame you for it. They have all kinds of ways. Well, you told me to get out.
That is gaslighting.
Is that is that gaslighting?
When you get the blame, then
Okay. Well, you told me to get out. I mean, you told me to do this, right? So I'm only giving you what you, right? All right. So I guess I didn't know that word, but sometimes it's only you who gets it. I'm telling you, sometimes it's only you who gets it. Sometimes it's only you who realizes this was deliberate, and you're not going there. It's too much for you to consciously get there. There's nothing you can do about that. There's nothing you can do about that. You're the one that has to make the choice as to whether or not you're going to hold the hook in your mouth and let this fisherman keep going all over the place. And that's how you have to look at it. Like this fisherman may go all over the world. Do you still want that hook in your mouth? Do you? Do you still want him to be able to yank you like this anytime he wants? Think about it. Think about you sleeping in the middle of the night and all of a sudden this hook gets, yeah! How's that for a bad image? Or do you just want to go, and you could tell yourself, you know what? And this is what the truth is. Not true. It's true he committed adultery. But the truth is that I'll bet he has an archetypal pattern in him, and he would have cheated no matter who he's married to. Because that's the nature of one of his patterns. It wouldn't have mattered if it was you, or you, or you, or you, or you, or you, or you. This is a male energy that needs another female, needs a female, not another, but needs a female to feel propped up. And without that, he has no sense of his maleness, because he has no sense of his maleness on his own. So he must be in contact with a female and a fresh female on a regular basis. He needs a fresh female on a regular basis. So after he's with this female, he'll go to the next, and he'll go to the next. This is an archetypal pattern. It's a predatorial pattern, but it's a pattern. So you can sit back and not wish and hope, don't ever do that, but spot the pattern and say, this will last maybe 2 to 3 years, and off he goes. 2 to 3 years and off he goes. 2 to 3 years and off he goes. It doesn't matter who he's with. It never matters. This is what I mean by a pattern. What matters now is that you are smart enough not to duplicate this pattern. That's the only thing you have to worry about, is stop looking at him and keep your eyes focused on who you partner with next, because you are as likely to duplicate that. If you don't complete it, you'll find another, because you're not done. You have to finish. And when you realize this was a soul wound, he knew, you have to ask yourself, and what did I know? What did I know about this, where I knew better but violated something in me? Because you did. You did. Where did you sin against yourself along the way? Where?
Accepting a lot of things that were unacceptable. So my integrity was
bigger. And this is the only thing you are now interested in, is where you violated yourself. You keep your eyes on the right target. He's no longer in your life. He's no longer in the game. He's no longer at the table. You are. And the only thing you're looking at is where you violated yourself, where you failed to protect yourself, where you failed to protect yourself. I said earlier, what are your boundaries? What are your rules? What are your values? Know your own perimeters. And until you are, if I am now your spiritual director, I would say you will not have another relationship at all. Not one. Don't you dare even consider it until you understand yourself right here. Until you are very clear about what your parameters are, about what's acceptable to you, about what words you use that allow you to cave and start compromising yourself. So that when you start speaking compromise, you catch yourself. So that when this person then compromises the integrity of the relationship, you say, well, how can he not do that? Everything about this relationship's based on compromise. What's been based on integrity? What? Nothing.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe another topic again. I find it extremely fascinating when you explain us about the nuclear energy, era, then how we slipped into this hypersensitivity years or decades. And on the first day you mentioned that we're now really at the in a very critical time, in the most critical time, just in our age and time
Where we
today.
are now. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And I was wondering if you can share more about this, how each of us can contribute, how you see these most challenging subjects these days, and how we can look at them or overcome them.
Oh, good God, there's a red light on. I think what I can do is maybe save that for the last few minutes, if you don't mind, because what I would like to do is kind of talk about some spiritual directives, prayer, and then end with what you can do when you leave. Does that sound? That sounds, yeah, I think that. Do you guys want a break? Yeah, all right, okay.